Life is full of voices. Some lift you up, some tear you down. Every day you're faced with choice about what you let into your mind, what you allow to settle in your heart, what you choose to believe about yourself. There are people who will speak life into you, but there are also those who will drain your joy, rob you of peace, and try to convince you that you are not enough. And if you are not careful, you will begin to believe the lies. But hear me today, you have a choice. You do not have to accept the negativity, the criticism, or the weight of others' opinions as your reality. You have the power to choose your well-being over their nonsense. The world is noisy. People will have something to say about how you live, what you do, and who you are. They will try to define you by your past, by your mistakes, by their limited understanding of your journey. But they don't get to write your story. They don't get to determine your worth. If you spend your life chasing the approval of others, you will always be running and never arriving. You will exhaust yourself trying to meet expectations that were never meant for you in the first place. And in the end, you will find yourself empty, worn out, and wondering why you ever let their voices drown out your own. There comes a time when you have to decide what matters more, your peace or their opinions, your joy or their criticism, your well-being or their nonsense. You cannot serve both. You cannot live freely while carrying the weight of every insult, every doubt, and every toxic word that has ever been spoken over you. It is not your job to make everyone happy. It is not your responsibility to prove yourself to those who will never see your worth, no matter how hard you try. Your job is to protect the life that God has given you, to nurture your heart, and to guard your peace like it is the most precious thing you own, because it is. Some of you have been carrying burdens that were never yours to bear. You have let words spoken in anger take root in your soul. You have replayed conversations in your mind, allowing negativity to shape the way you see yourself. But today you can make a different choice. You can decide that your well-being is more important than their nonsense. You can let go of the hurt, the fear, the shame, and you can step in a life that is free from the chains of other people's opinions. Maybe you've been afraid. Maybe you think that if you walk away from toxic relationships, if you set boundaries, if you choose peace over drama, then you'll be left alone. But let me tell you something, being alone with peace is better than being surrounded by chaos. Protecting your well-being may cost you some friendships. It may make some people uncomfortable. It may require you to walk away from situations that once felt familiar, but the price of peace is always worth it. Some of you have spent too long in environments that have been draining you. You've stayed in circles that have been limiting your growth. You've allowed voices into your life that do nothing but discourage you. And maybe you've convinced yourself that you just have to endure it. But you don't. You don't have to stay where you are not valued. You don't have to keep entertaining relationships that only bring you pain. You don't have to keep sacrificing your well-being just to keep other people comfortable. That is not the life you were called to live. There is freedom in choosing yourself. There is peace in knowing that you don't have to prove your worth to anyone. You are already enough. You are already loved. You are already chosen. And if someone in your life cannot see that, if they cannot respect the boundaries you set, if they continue to bring negativity into your world, then it may be time to step away. Not out of anger, not out of resentment, but out of wisdom, out of love for yourself. Out of a deep understanding that your well-being is worth protecting. Life is too short to waste on meaningless drama, on people who refuse to see your value, on situations that rob you of joy. You were not created to be a prisoner of other people's opinions. You were created to walk in peace, to stand in confidence, to live in the fullness of joy that is available to you. So choose well. Choose peace. Choose yourself. Choose your well-being over their nonsense. There comes a time in life when you must make a decision, not just about where you're going, but about who and what you are allowing into your space. Some of you are exhausted, not because life is too hard, but because you've let too many people pull you in too many directions. You've allowed voices in your life that were never meant to have access to your heart. You've tolerated behavior that has drained you, relationships that have wounded you, and expectations that have suffocated you. And now you find yourself worn out, carrying burdens you were never meant to carry. But hear me today, you are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to choose your well-being over their nonsense. Not everyone who has access to you should have influence over you. Not every relationship deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people come with nothing but negativity, and yet you convince yourself that you have to endure it. Maybe it's because they've been in your life for years. Maybe you feel guilty for creating distance. Maybe you're afraid of being judged for walking away. But let me ask you, how long will you continue to sacrifice your peace just to keep the wrong people comfortable? How long will you let toxic words, unhealthy expectations, and manipulative behavior dictate how you live? If someone is constantly draining your energy, constantly pulling you into drama, constantly making you feel small, then you have every right to create space. And setting boundaries is not selfish, it is necessary. It is wise. It is the only way to protect what God has given you. Because the truth is, you can't grow in an environment that is constantly tearing you down. You can't thrive in a space where you are always walking on eggshells, afraid to upset someone, afraid to speak up, afraid to take care of yourself. Some of you have been conditioned to believe that saying no is unkind. That distancing yourself from toxic people is unloving. That cutting ties with relationships that no longer serve you is wrong. But let me remind you, there is nothing godly about allowing yourself to be mistreated. There is nothing holy about letting someone's negativity weigh you down. There is nothing noble about staying in an environment that is destroying your peace. People who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. They will honor your well-being. They will understand that your peace is not up for negotiation. But those who thrive on control, manipulation, and toxicity will try to make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. They will call you selfish, dramatic, or even heartless. And when that happens, you must remind yourself of this simple truth. The reaction to your boundaries is not your responsibility. You do not owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. You do not have to apologize for refusing to entertain negativity. You do not need permission to protect your well-being. Some people will never change, but that doesn't mean you have to keep letting them affect you. You can love people and still keep your distance. You can forgive them and still move on. You can wish them well and still refuse to let them drain you. Because the truth is, some relationships are only meant to be seasonal. Some people are only meant to be part of your journey for a little while. And when their time is up, it is okay to let go. It is okay to walk away. It is okay to say, I love you, but I love myself too. There is nothing wrong with wanting peace. There is nothing weak about choosing yourself. It takes strength to walk away from what no longer serves you. It takes courage to say, I will not allow this in my life anymore. And when you do, you will realize something powerful. You are not losing anything. You are gaining freedom. You are gaining clarity. You are making room for the people and the opportunities that truly align with where you are going. So let this be the day you stop allowing nonsense to have a place in your life. Let this be the day you stop letting others dictate your worth. Let this be the day you set the boundaries you need without fear, without guilt, and without apology. Because your well-being is not up for discussion. Your peace is not up for negotiation. And you have every right to protect it. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every argument needs your attention. Not every piece of drama that comes your way is yours to carry. Yet so many people live their lives constantly caught up in the nonsense of others reacting, defending, proving themselves to people who don't even deserve a response. And in the end, they are left exhausted, drained, and wondering why peace seems so far out of reach. But peace isn't something that's given to you. It's something you choose. And sometimes choosing peace means walking away from the nonsense, refusing to engage in the drama, and reminding yourself that not everything deserves your energy. The world thrives on distractions. There will always be someone trying to stir up an argument. There will always be people gossiping, criticizing, trying to pull you into their negativity. They will bait you with their words, hoping you'll react. They will push your buttons, hoping you'll break. And the moment you respond, the moment you step into their drama, they win. They gain control over your emotions. They take hold of your peace. And suddenly you are no longer focused on what truly matters. Instead, you are caught up in a cycle of frustration, anger, and wasted time. But hear me today, you don't have to play their game. You don't have to answer every insult. You don't have to defend yourself against every false accusation. You don't have to prove yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. There is power in silence. There is wisdom in walking away. There is strength in knowing when to disengage. Some of you have been giving too much of your time, your thoughts, and your emotions to things that don't deserve it. You've been stressing over words spoken by people who wouldn't last a day in your shoes. You've been losing sleep over opinions that will never matter in the grand scheme of your life. And maybe you've told yourself that you need to fix it, that you need to make them understand, that you need to clear your name. But you don't. You don't need to chase after every false rumor. You don't need to explain yourself to people who are committed to twisting your words. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Jesus himself, the greatest man to ever walk this earth, was falsely accused, mocked, and ridiculed. And yet he didn't waste his time arguing with people who were determined to misunderstand him. He didn't chase after his critics trying to prove who he was. He stayed focused. He stayed on his mission. And if the Son of God didn't waste time on nonsense, why should you? Why should you allow distractions to pull you away from your purpose? Why should you let the words of people who do not know your heart steal your joy? Some of you are carrying burdens today that were placed on you by other people's opinions. You've let their words shape your confidence. You've let their negativity cloud your vision. And without even realizing it, you've been living under the weight of someone else's drama. But you don't have to anymore. You can decide right now that you will no longer be a participant in nonsense. You can decide that your energy is too valuable, your peace is too important, and your future is too bright to waste another moment on things that do not serve you. Walking away doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you've lost. It means you are wise enough to know what's worth your time and what's not. It means you understand that real strength is found not in proving yourself, but in knowing yourself. It means you are choosing peace over chaos, growth over distractions, and purpose over pointless battles. And when you make that choice, you will find a freedom like never before. You will find clarity. You will find that life is too short to waste on things that do not add value to your journey. So let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. Let them spread their nonsense. It is not your burden to carry. You have more important things to focus on. You have a life to live, a purpose to fulfill, and a peace to protect. And from this moment forward, you will no longer trade your well-being for their drama. You will no longer allow their distractions to steal your joy. Because you have made the choice to walk away, to rise above, and to protect what actually matters. That life is too short to spend it worrying about what other people think. Too many people are walking around weighed down, not by their own struggles, but by the opinions of others. They hesitate, they hold back, they live cautiously, not because they lack ability, but because they are afraid of being judged. And so, instead of stepping into the life they were meant to live, they stay stuck, trapped by the fear of rejection, the fear of criticism, the fear of not being enough. But listen, you were not created to live in fear. You were not meant to spend your life trying to meet the impossible expectations of people who don't even know the battles you fought. You were meant to grow, to thrive, to step into the fullness of who you are. And you cannot do that if you are constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering what people say. Some of you have dreams buried inside you, ideas that could change your life, gifts that were meant to be used. But instead of moving forward, you've been waiting for approval, waiting for permission, waiting for someone else to tell you that you're good enough. But let me tell you something, if you spend your life waiting for validation, you will never start. If you spend your time trying to be what everyone else wants you to be, you will lose sight of who you really are. And if you let the fear of what others think control your decisions, you will never truly live. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will support your growth. Some people will feel threatened by your progress. Some will criticize you simply because they are too afraid to chase their own dreams. And if you're not careful, their words will seep into your heart and convince you to play small, to dim your light, to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. But that is not why you are here. You were not meant to live according to the opinions of people who have no say in your destiny. You were meant to rise, to step boldly into the calling on your life, to grow into the person you were always meant to be. Growth is uncomfortable. It stretches you, it challenges you, it forces you to leave behind what is familiar. And sometimes that means outgrowing people who were never meant to go where you are going. It means letting go of relationships that no longer align with your purpose. It means choosing to surround yourself with those who encourage you, who push you forward, who remind you of who you are when you start to forget. Because the truth is, your environment matters. The voices you listen to, the people you spend time with, the influence you allow into your life, all of it shapes you. And if you are constantly surrounded by negativity, by people who mock your dreams, by those who would rather see you stay the same than see you grow, then it is only a matter of time before their voice will drown out your own. Some of you have been letting the wrong voices define you. You've been believing lies spoken over you by people who don't even know the fullness of your potential. You've been carrying the weight of expectations that were never yours to carry. And without realizing it, you've allowed their words to build walls around your future fuel. But today you have a choice. You can choose to break free. You can choose to let go of the fear, to release the need for approval, to step forward in faith knowing that you don't need anyone else's permission to grow. When you start focusing on your own journey, when you start investing in yourself, when you stop worrying about what others think and start chasing after what you were meant to do, everything changes. You stop living for their approval and start living for something greater. You stop wasting time on people who don't believe in you and start surrounding yourself with those who do. You stop doubting yourself and start walking with confidence, knowing that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are enough. So today, let this be the moment you decide to grow. Let this be the moment you stop seeking validation from people who were never meant to validate you in the first place. Let this be the moment you refuse to let fear, doubt, or the opinions of others hold you back for one more day. Because your future is too important, your purpose is too great, and your well-being is too valuable to waste on anything that does not push you forward. Some people will never be happy with you no matter what you do. You can give them your time, your energy, your kindness, but you can backward to meet their expectations, and it still won't be enough. You will still be criticized, still be misunderstood, still be seen as not doing enough. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life trying to please people who have already made up their minds about you. But hear me today, you don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You don't need to waste another moment trying to be what they want you to be. Because at the end of the day, you are not living for them. You are living for something greater. Too many people have exhausted themselves trying to fit into spaces they were never meant to be in. They've changed who they are just to be accepted. They've silenced their own voice just to avoid conflict. They've given and given and given only to be met with ingratitude, with judgment, with more demands. And the sad thing is, they start to believe the lie that if they could just do a little more, if they could just try a little harder, then maybe, just maybe, they'd finally be enough. But that's not how this works. You will never be enough for the wrong people. And that's okay. You were never meant to be. When you live for the approval of others, you will always be a prisoner to their opinions. One day they'll praise you, the next they'll criticize you. One moment they'll support you, the next they'll turn their backs on you. And if your sense of worth is tied to what they think, you will spend your life riding an emotional roller coaster, constantly seeking, constantly striving, crunch feeling like you're falling short. But the truth is, you don't have to live that way. You can make the choice to step out of that cycle. You can decide right here and right now that your worth is not determined by how well you fit into someone else's expectations. You can decide that you don't have to shrink yourself, change yourself, or exhaust yourself just to be accepted. Some of you have been carrying the weight of other people's opinions for far too long. You've allowed their words to shape how you see yourself. You've let their rejection make you feel unworthy. You've let their criticism hold you back from stepping into the fullness of who you are. And the reason you're so tired, the reason you feel so drained, is because you were never meant to carry all of that in the first place. It's time to let it go. It's time to free yourself from the burden of trying to be everything to everyone. It's time to stop wasting your energy on people who will never appreciate what you bring to the table. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. The right people, the people who truly care about you, who truly see you, who truly appreciate you, will love you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. And the people who only love you when you meet their expectations, let them go. Stop chasing after relationships that require you to perform just to be accepted. Stop begging for approval from those who are committed to finding fault in you. Stop trying to please people who will never be satisfied. Because the truth is, You will never be enough for the wrong people, but you have always been enough for the right ones. When you stop living for their approval, you will find freedom. You will find peace. You will find that you no longer have to walk on eggshells, wondering if you are doing enough, being enough, pleasing enough. You will realize that your energy is better spent on the people who truly matter, on the purpose you were called to fulfill, on the life you were meant to live. And when you do, you will wonder why you ever wasted so much time trying to prove yourself to people who were never meant to be part of your journey in the first place. So today, make the decision to walk away from the need for validation. Make the decision to stop exhausting yourself for people who will never see your worth. Make the decision to protect your peace, guard your energy, and focus on what truly matters. Because the moment you stop seeking their approval, you will finally step into the freedom you were always meant to have. Not you have one life to live. Just one. And the way you spend it is entirely up to you. You can waste it worrying about things that don't matter, getting caught up in arguments that lead nowhere, trying to change people who will never change. Or you can choose something better. You can choose to live with joy, with purpose, with peace. But make no mistake, this isn't something that just happens. It's something you decide. It's something you fight for. Because every day there will be something trying to pull you back into the nonsense, trying to steal your focus, trying to drag you into battles that have nothing to do with where you're going. But you don't have to take the bait. You don't have to waste another second on things that do not serve your future. Some people spend their whole lives chasing after things that don't matter, trying to prove themselves to people who don't even care, living a cycle of frustration. But they never stop to ask, is this really worth my time? And before they know it, years have passed. The opportunities they once had are gone. The people who truly mattered have drifted away, and they are left wondering where the time went. But you don't have to live like that. You don't have to reach the end of your life filled with regret, wishing you had focused on the things that truly matter. You can make that choice now. Your well-being is your responsibility. Your peace is your responsibility. Your joy is your responsibility. And if you don't protect them, no one else will. There will always be people who try to bring drama into your life. There will always be situations that try to shake your peace. There will always be voices telling you what you should be doing, who you should be pleasing, where you should be spending your energy. But you don't have to listen. You don't have to say yes to everything. You don't have to carry every burden that's thrown at you. Because the moment you learn to say no, the moment you learn to let go of things that do not add to your life, you will experience a freedom like never before. Some of you have been holding on to things that are draining you. You've been entertaining people who only bring negativity into your life. You've been dwelling on past mistakes, on things you cannot change, on people who have already moved on. And the reason you feel so tired, so overwhelmed, so empty, is because you are pouring your energy into things that do not pour back into you. But you don't have to keep living that way. You don't have to keep carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. You can choose to release them. You can choose to make your well-being a priority. You can choose to stop sacrificing your peace for the sake of people who wouldn't do the same for you. You have a future ahead of you. You have places to go, things to do, a purpose to fulfill. But you will never get there if you are constantly weighed down by the nonsense of others. You will never reach your full potential if you are too distracted by meaningless drama. You will never find true joy if you are always worried about who likes you, who approves of you, who understands you. Because the truth is, not everyone will. Not everyone will support your growth. Not everyone will be happy when you start choosing yourself, when you start setting boundaries, when you start saying no to the things that once kept you stuck. But that's okay, because you are not here to live for them. You are here to live the life that was meant for you. There is nothing selfish about protecting your peace. There is nothing wrong with choosing your well-being over someone else's nonsense. And there is nothing weak about walking away from situations that do not serve you. That is strength. That is wisdom. That is what it means to truly live. And when you finally make that choice, when you stop explaining yourself, stop justifying yourself, stop apologizing for putting yourself first, you will find that the things you once thought you needed no longer matter. You will realize that your happiness is not found in their approval, in their validation, in their acceptance. It is found in the freedom of knowing that you are in control of your own life. So today, choose wisely. Choose peace over chaos. Choose purpose over distractions. Choose joy over drama. And above all, choose yourself. Because your life is too valuable, your time is too precious, and your well-being is too important to waste on anything less.